Greetings, comrades. Okay, I'm here today with my February haul, and I'm going to have to divide this up into two parts. I tried to do it all in one, but I ended up having to edit out so much, and it got really choppy. You wouldn't need Dramamine pills to watch it, and then my software program crashed anyways. So I'm going to do this in two videos and not feel so stressed and under so much pressure. Get it right the first time. Okay, most of the books that I have here that I'm going to be doing this month are elementary and middle grade, but I do have some adult books, so I'll go ahead and let you know about those first of all. The first one I have here is a Neal Stephenson book. I've never read this author. This one's called The Diamond Age. I saw a review, I either saw or read a review of this book on someone, either on Goodreads or on a YouTube channel. I don't remember who it was, and I apologize for that. But it sounded pretty intriguing, like this guy who writes a book, and it's to tell this young girl about how to be in the world, and there's only supposed to be one copy of it, but of course it gets pirated, and, you know, chaos ensues. Now, on the back of the book, it kind of doesn't sound like that. So I'm not sure if I got the right book or not. Maybe, you know, sometimes blurbs on the back of the book are not the most reliable narrators, as it were. But I've never read him, and Jane over at Yes Miss Jane on BookTube loves him. He's one of her favorite authors, and so I'm going to give this one a try. It's a pretty big book. It's only actually about 400 pages, but it's pretty good size. So the other books that I got, adult books, are the rest of the Angela Thirkell books that I got from Book Depository that are out in the Virago editions. I got the first couple of them. I think I got them from Amazon in January, and I decided to go ahead and get all the rest of the ones that they had. I didn't have them, and they had issued them from Virago. Now, one of them I actually did have, which is this one. It's called High Rising, and this is the first one in the series, and I don't like the edition that I have, so I'm just going to donate it to Friends of the Library and replace it with this one, because this Virago, they have gorgeous covers. So there's that one. This one is called, I can get it up here, Christmas at High Rising. Okay, and I think this is actually a book of short stories, because it's not listed as one of the novels on the list of her books, and I think that's the Christmas at High Rising is the name of one of the stories in it. And then there's one called August Folly here, and this one is called Summer Half, and then The Brandons. And as you can see, hopefully a little bit, they're just gorgeous editions. So I'm really happy that I got those. Okay, on to now at least some of the middle grade and elementary school books that I got. So let's see. Let's start with this one. This is a book by Cynthia Voigt, Mr. Max, The Book of Lost Things. I think there's more than one book in this series, as I recall. I've read some other stuff by her. She's a good writer. It says, Max was supposed to meet his parents aboard the Flower of Kashmir, but when he arrived at the docks, there was no such ship. No ship and no parents, and now Max must find them. And I think finding things is probably his kind of his superpower, if you want to call it that, okay? But I was curious about it, and she's a good writer, so I wanted to check that out. Next up is Here Lies Link by Delia Ray. And this is a boy, Lincoln Crenshaw, and his mother does research into burial rites and things like that. And so, you know, being around cemeteries and stuff is not something he's worried about. He's very familiar with it. Well, he starts goes to a new school, and one of the first assignments that he gets is they go to a cemetery, and he's got to write about some grave there and try and find the history and stuff. When he does, it turns out he starts finding out things about his own family that he didn't know about. So that sounds interesting. The next one is called The Wollstonecraft Detective Agency, The Castle of the Missing Moonstone by Jordan Stratford and Kelly Murphy. Yes, that Wollstonecraft. The characters in here are Lady Ada Barron and Mary Godwin, who are young girls. It takes place in like 1826 England. I don't know if that's still Regency or Victorian. I apologize. And they form a detective agency. It's like the first in a series, I think so. I love detective stories, so I had to pick that up. The next ones are the next two books in the Penderwick series. The first book was just called The Penderwicks. It's by Jean Birdsall, Jeanne, Birdsall, Birdsall. And I really enjoyed the first one. It was just a really sweet book about the kids and their adventures one summer. And so the second one, I think this is the second one, the Penderwicks on Gardam Street and the Penderwicks at Point Muette. I'm not sure. But, and I understand there's a fourth one coming out this month, or not this month, or this spring, or sometime this year. But they were just really charming stories, so I wanted to pick those up and get back into that series. This one is called Under the Egg by Laura Marks Fitzgerald. Not familiar with this author. This one takes place as it's a young woman who is trying to take care of her mom. Her grandfather was a painter, left them a house, I think, and a little bit of a legacy, but it's not really enough to get by on. So she's kind of trying, and I think her mother's in, like, frail health. So she finds this painting, right? Her grandfather was a painter. It says it looked old, it looked real, and it looked like it was worth something. Now, this painting isn't by her grandfather, okay? The problem is that her grandfather, who was a painter, also had a day job. He was a security guard at the Museum of Modern Art. So she's thinking the painting might be stolen. So she's going to investigate. Sounds like fun. Okay, these next three are kind of like theme books. And they'll be the last one on this video, and then I'll switch over to the next for part 2. And the first one is called Tangle of Knots by Lisa Graff. Now, I know that I read another book, or I got another book by this author, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And I think this was the first one, and the book I got was another one, and I apologize for not being able to remember, and I guess it's irrelevant anyway. This book, it takes place in a remarkable world where everyone has a special talent. It said, 11-year-old Katie's talent is a phenomenal ability. She can bake the absolutely perfect cake for any person. Hey, that sounds like somebody I'd want to know. It says, and then later on she meets up with this group of children who are trying to understand their own talents, and a talent thief who will change her life forever. So that sounds like kind of like fun. This next one, here's getting the theme part here, is called Bliss. Rosemary Bliss's family has a secret. It's the Bliss Cookery Book, an ancient leather-bound volume of enchanted recipes like singing ginger snaps. Well, Rosemary's parents leave for a bit, and an aunt comes to stay with them, and she's doing the cooking, and her cooking is pretty special indeed. So they don't really want to go back to ordinary cooking before their aunt came, so they just decide, you know, to try a couple of recipes from the cookbook. Let's see, what do they try? Oh, a few love muffins and cookies of truth. What could possibly go wrong, right? Ow. Okay, sorry about that, I dropped the book. Anyway, the next book is called All Four Stars by Tara Dairman, D-A-I-R-M-A-N. This is about a young girl who's like a kind of a chef prodigy, I guess. She's been cooking since she was very young, and, well, she's still very young. And she writes an essay about cooking or food or something like that, and it comes to the attention of some New York newspaper. They don't know that it was written by a child, and they want to hire her to be a food critic. So she's got to figure out a way to try and get to New York and review some restaurant, and so she can write about food and stuff like that and the things she loves. So that one sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, I've got, about 6 or 8 more books to do. I'm going to shut this off for now, and I'll pick it back up in part 2, okay? So stay tuned.